going on, everyone? So earlier today, it was reported that Lauri Markkanen is expected to sign that extension with the Utah Jazz. That Lauri Markkanen doesn't appear to be traded or going to be traded. And if he signs the extension after today, August 6th, depending on when you're watching this video, that he will no longer be able to be traded this season. Now, we get into next year's offseason and rumors could start, but I just think it'll be very difficult to trade Lauri Markkanen for Utah after they sign him to an extension, and they can't just lose him for nothing. So they kind of are in a spot where they have no choice. They got to sign him to an extension, but he has a ton of value right now because he's making $18 million, right? When he's making $40+ million, I just don't think he's a $40+ million player, personally, right? You're talking $40 million, he needs to be your first or second best player. I don't think he's a number one or number two option on a real contender. I think he's best as a number three, right? It's one of the concerns why I said, like when there were talks about the Lakers interested, I was like, hey, you look at his injury history, the most games the guy's ever played in his career is 68 games, right? And then second most was 66. So this isn't a guy that, like, people get on me for like Zach LaVine. Oh, he's injury prone in his contract. But then like a lot of those same people are like, Lakers should trade for Lauri Markkanen. And it's like, Lauri Markkanen's played less games than Zach LaVine and is going to make more money because he's going to be on that new TV deal contract. But nonetheless, Lauri Markkanen likely off the table. But what this could potentially be, hopefully, is that first domino to fall. I've talked about this before, right? And said this, I think, like a month ago, right? Like when the trade rumors really started with Lauri Markkanen, I was like, hey, if Lauri Markkanen gets traded, that could be the first domino to fall to kind of get the ball rolling, right? Well, now, even though he's not being traded, as soon as he signs that extension, it could really start getting the ball rolling and teams really starting to ramp up trade discussions, right? Because you have teams like the Warriors and, Sacramento and various teams that were interested in the San Antonio Spurs, interested in Lauri Markkanen, who are now going to miss out on Lauri Markkanen, that are likely going to pivot and go elsewhere, right? And now I think that that'll open the door. Also, a lot of these teams like, Portland, okay, well, what does Lauri Markkanen go for? Right? Does he go for, 2 young guys and 6 firsts? Right? It's like, oh, man, well, then we're standing firm on that. Well, now that teams weren't willing to give up what was necessary for Lauri Markkanen, right? Does Portland really believe that they're going to get 2 firsts plus whatever else for Jeremy Grant? Right? I mean, the Warriors desperately needed Lauri Markkanen, and they wouldn't give up Pod or Kuminga for him. Right? Like, they were only willing to give up Moses Moody in picks, right? So, again, instead of potentially impacting the market in a negative way to where now the other side of the coin to that is that, competition could shift to some of these other guys, right? Does a team like the Warriors go, man, maybe we should go get a guy like a Cam Johnson. Maybe we should get a guy like a Jeremy Grant. I don't think they would, personally. It's just me. I just don't think that that's really a spot that they need, right? With Andrew Wiggins, stuff like that. But you never know, right? Do they start throwing their hat in the ring for guys? Or do they go after like a Walker Kessler or a Wendell Carter Jr. or something like that, right? To where now the Lakers have competition in maybe those areas, right? So to me, I think that, obviously the more competition, the worse for the Lakers, because the Lakers are limited on players and assets and things like that. So you don't want to be in a position where you have, 5 teams now going after a guy like a Jeremy Grant, right? Because now that just drives up the price and makes it more likely that Lakers get him. But a guy like Jeremy Grant, I think it's kind of the Lakers. Like, I think he's the most realistic potential trade, right? But then beyond that, like Cam Johnson, right? There's already several teams that are rumored to be interested in Cam Johnson, right? Sacramento, Orlando, okay, right? Do the Warriors throw their hat in the ring for a guy like Cam, right? And go, man, okay, we can move, Wiggins to the 2 and have, Johnson at the 3 with Draymond and stuff and just kind of have that versatile defensive length and switchability out there, right? Like, how do they approach it? Right? Or, do Bruce Brown, do teams start going after Bruce Brown, who I think makes sense for the Lakers? Also, he's a guy that the more that I think about and the more that I kind of explore him, the more I'm kind of really like the idea of Bruce Brown. But I might dedicate a video to that. But nonetheless, right? Like the point is that, having a guy like Lauri Markkanen now off the market, one way or the other, right? That was the idea. That was the hope, right? Get this guy off the market one way or the other. So now focus can shift to some of these other teams, right? Because you have teams that are being patient, right? Teams like Portland, teams like Brooklyn, right? They're being patient. They're not in a rush. There's not this urgency to get a deal done now, right? I know people joke, oh, it's the mantra, this, that, and the other, but it's the reality, right? A lot of time between now and training camp. Right? You still got like a month and a half, 2 months, whatever it is, before training camp. So, teams aren't, you want this guy, you're overpaying right now. Now, once you get to training camp, I do think a team like Portland is going to drop their price, right? Because, again, are they really going to want to go into with Jeremy Grant? Now, I don't think that they're just going to give Jeremy Grant away. I don't think they'll be like, we wanted 2 firsts, but tell you what, we'll do it for 2 seconds. No, I think that, they'll still want a first. I think they drop to a first. Maybe it's a first and a pick swap. Maybe it's a first in a couple seconds, right? But I do think that price does come down because, again, they have a bunch of young forwards that they want to get opportunity and allow them to play out on the court, right? And Jeremy Grant is just going to take away opportunity, minutes, shot attempts, all those things from those young guys. So I imagine that they're going to want to move off of Jeremy Grant sooner rather than later, but they're not in a rush. They can take their time. They can be patient, right? They can let things play out. And again, they're able to watch. Okay, Lauri Markkanen is off the board now. Do teams start coming to us? Do teams start going, maybe we should get a Simons. Maybe we should go get a Jeremy Grant, right? Maybe we should make a push. Do the Warriors go, hey, let's make a push for Ayton, right? Let's make a push for, Robert Williams or something. Right? And again, if you're the Brooklyn Nets or the Toronto Raptors or any of these teams that are linked to potentially selling, it is in your best interest to be as patient as possible, right? The Lakers, they obviously want a deal done, but patience is the key. It's why I keep preaching Lakers need to remain patient, right? Because it's a blinking contest, right? Eye staring contest, and it's who's gonna blink first. And I just think the teams that want to sell are likely going to blink first because the reason they want to sell is because they want to get these guys off the roster so that way they can free up space for their young guys or go on the tank race, right? Which I think the Lakers are really going to benefit for, particularly at the trade deadline. Now, again, I would prefer to get stuff done now, right? And then if you do make a trade at the trade deadline, it's a minor move. It's something like, we could use another shooter. Let's go get Seth, Seth Curry, right? Or, man, we could use, another, just big man, right? Let's go get this, right? Ideally, I'd love to go get you go get a Jeremy Grant and a Bruce Brown or something. And then at the trade deadline, maybe then you're going and getting Valanciunas, right? Just for examples, just name for examples, right? And now you got your guard, you got your wing, and now you got your center, right? So now you basically filled the holes that you needed to fill, and now you're in good shape. And all you're doing is just trying to integrate, Valanciunas into your rotation, right? Rather than, you wait and you're patient until the trade deadline, and then you're doing this whole roster rehaul, and you got 4 players that you got to reintroduce, and you got to go. Yes, I know last time the Lakers did that, they went to the conference finals, but that's an outlier. It's usually hard to kind of just take a bunch of players and get them, assimilated to, the actual rotation and whatnot. So to me, again, it's a patience game. But I'm hoping that this with Utah is that first domino to fall that now kind of gets the ball rolling for other things. Still don't think that necessarily means the trade's going to get done tomorrow or anything like that. But I do think it'll ramp up teams getting back into the conversation, which is good because that could lead to something, whether it's a 3-team trade, 2-team trade, whatever, right? And so that's my hope in that regard, right? Again, can you turn Rui into something, into an upgrade at the wing? Can you turn D'Lo into something, upgrade at the center position or the guard position, right? Again, you obviously don't want to fill one hole to fill another, but also that opens the door for Utah now being a partner because now Utah's kind of set, right? They know, okay, we got Lauri Markkanen, so now what direction does Utah want to go? Are they a team that wants to kind of go get better now players, right? So maybe they would value a Rui because they're like, man, we can slot Rui at the 4, right? Have Markkanen at the 3. Like Rui's better than what we got here, so let's bring him in. Like it could change the perspective and outlook for a team like the Utah Jazz. Maybe they start looking at the other way, or maybe they look at it as like, okay, we got Lauri Markkanen. Let's kind of clear the deck this year, right? So maybe they trade Kessler now and Sexton and all these other guys, right? It's like, okay, let's kind of clear the deck and then we can reset with Lauri Markkanen and his new contract next season, right? So it could kind of change how just even the Utah Jazz operate. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you think Lauri Markkanen could potentially be that first domino to fall that kind of lines things up? And kind of gets the spark going again for trade options and conversations? Or do you think, like things aren't going to change? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. It's me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.